you should genuinely stop caring so much if you want to get the thing you care about so much. Kind of weird oxymoron, right? There's things you care about, you want to get these things, but you care too much about the wrong things. Those things that you're trying to care about, right? Or you're spending time caring about, they're hindering your direction you want to go to. Because truth be told, man, a lot of people, we won't even admit the fact that we let other individuals get into our headspace and adjust how we see something and make ourselves feel about something so we don't go after it. So we sit back and we go, I don't want to make that person think of me different or say something negative or say something rude, or what if I do this and someone says something bad to me? And the problem is you spend way too much time focused on that. So what you want most, you're not making headway towards. So all day long, you want this peace, this joy, more money, more traction, whatever it is, but you let other people make you feel bad about what you want. So all of a sudden we don't get there. And now we're worried about how we look and how people think of us. And to be honest, you're gonna have to do something that means going outside your norm, and you're gonna have to not care about what anybody says. Even someone that loves you the most will sit back and tell you something that you really don't wanna hear, and it's gonna be a truth that's hard to hear. But the honest thing is that truth may shut you down, or it may light you up, or it might not even matter in the first place. Because if we care too much about their thoughts, then we live their life. And if I don't wanna live that life, I can't care about those thoughts. See, there's a lot that we all battle and run into with all this. And to be honest, I know there was a certain situation for me where like I have had to admit that I was worried about how I may look to somebody. I was worried about how I may show up, and I was worried about different things. And to be honest, for me, I had these moments where I was so worried about how I would show up, it shut me down. Like I was so worried about how I would be able to do something, it shut me down, and what some of these viewpoints were. And at one point, like I had this idea of like I wanted to do a TV show, had producers reaching out to me and all these kind of things. And I know that for me in these moments, I go, well, I can make a TV show up, but what if somebody sees me on TV and I look funny and I look stupid, because I've been doing some different shows. And so what I did is I kind of slowed the roll. I had two producers, one at one point for me to create an idea for a show, and I never came up with one. Never to this day have submitted one. I've lost contact with them. One of those like stupid things, like for real, like Ant, man, that you just let that thing slide. It was just the dumbest thing to me. And it's mostly because I was worried about how somebody might think of me if they saw me on television, you know? And so I know from personal experience, you do not want to get to a point where at any point in time you're slowing down your path to someplace because somebody else may look at you funny and look at you differently. So we're going to uncover some ways you can look at today, literally steps to move yourself towards the area of feeling better, feeling more dialed in, feeling more abundant, more just clear about what's possible of life. And the first step is for you to have a practicing of self-acceptance, genuine self-acceptance. Like sitting there going, you know what, I love me. It doesn't mean that when you love you, that you don't love others. Doesn't mean that loving you diminishes others or makes somebody else feel bad. To be quite honest, it should get to a point where you have this acceptance of yourself beyond what everybody else accepts you of. You got to have that level of confidence in what you're capable of, that somebody else might go to you and go, you're crazy. Why do you think that about yourself? It doesn't matter. I love me for who I am, whether you like it or not. And that's it. Now, you don't want to be naive and say like something crazy, like I'm the greatest, I don't know, violinist to ever live, and you've never had a violin. You don't just talk to yourself like a crazy person, you know, but really step into a space and go, you know what, I love me. And if you don't love me and I do something that you don't love and you let me know, it's cool, but you know what, I still love me. So I'm still gonna give energy and do whatever I want to do, regardless of what you say. And when you can live in that kind of space, there is nothing or no one that can yank you back to have you feel stuck in some position in your life. So practicing amazing self-acceptance is huge. It's a big, big piece of it. Then you got to reframe how you think about stuff. If you've already accepted yourself, you must now reframe the thoughts you have moving in a direction towards some outcome. You absolutely have to understand that your thoughts are the things that actually lead to your emotions that then lead to the actions you take. And if you aren't controlling your thoughts in certain ways and managing your thoughts, the emotions that lead to the actions will be subpar actions, or they're inactions. Nothing happens because you didn't feel like it in a certain manner. So you've really got to reframe the thoughts that you've got spinning in your head all day long around these ideas of what can take place. Because if you have a vision for something, the only thing that's going to stop you is you. Only person that can step in your way and make you stop taking actual action is going to end up being you. And if you are in your own way, then it doesn't matter who else is in your way, because you'll never reach them. So the first thing is have an acceptance of who you are, then reframe your thoughts so you don't have negative self-talk. You don't beat yourself up. You don't get to that point where you lack the self-affirmation that many people really need to move forwards. Like I have heavy self-affirmation. There are people in my life who still to this day go, how are you doing that as a career? It's the craziest thing. And I go, I know, but I love doing it, man. It's what I like to do. I love serving and showing up and coaching the way I get to coach. So if that's what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do it full bore, 100%, no crazy, no issues. And that's how I show up. And so I say that to you to be very clear that you're gonna have to have a reframing of your thoughts and how they show up that guides your actions differently to do whatever in the world it is that you wanna do, as long as you ain't hurting people, right? Number 3 is you gotta focus on your own values. Now, we all have people we live in vicinity of, right? There's people in our circles, and they have sometimes competing values and principles. I know a lot of individuals that are in my life, we do not carry the same values. I love them to death, but we don't carry the same values. And that's okay, because my direction for life may be different than their overall direction. We're both on the same road, but we're kind of going different directions. We're different places as a destination, but we're all on the same road now. And what you'll find is that at times, us being individuals, we don't focus on our own values. We focus on borrowing other people's values, or when they tell us their value through a criticism or some viewpoint or some judgment, I borrow it, I take it on, and I go, why? Why are you taking that person's value? If they don't value free time and freedom to do what they want, why would you listen to them tell you you shouldn't take up entrepreneurship and do your own crazy thing? Like, I've had people who love their careers and love their jobs, and I love that they love them, tell me, don't go and do a business, don't be on your own. And I go, no, I value time. I value my own control of my own life. I value that I don't have a boss to have to ask for 2 weeks off. I value that. And so what happens is you must choose the actual values you anchor down to and live into those, regardless of the rest of the world's perspectives. So you've got to focus on your values. Next one, number 4, is you have to cultivate a strong support system. I say cultivate specifically, and if you notice in my content, I'm really big on people, but you got to cultivate, because cultivation is to create, it's to lay seeds, it's to take care of, it's to water, it's to grow eventually into something great later on. Cultivation is interesting, but you do have to cultivate these really amazing support systems. It may mean you cultivating an amazing mastermind group and community that allows you to feel seen and supported and get some guidance. You might have to cultivate an amazing tight circle of individuals that are accountability partners that keep you on track and move in the direction you're supposed to go, regardless of whatever's going on. They just keep you moving, right? The bad stuff, the good stuff, you just keep trudging along. Those people are going to be someone you cultivate in a relationship. You want to cultivate a great home experience. Like, I have an amazing marriage and an amazing family with my kids, and we have a great thing going on there, but that was cultivated. There were a lot of seeds planted, a lot of things watered, a lot of things done to make that become my reality when it's not the reality for many others. Not good, bad, worse. It's nothing that is better than somebody else. It's just an is type situation. And so that's really where you've got to spend more ample time focusing on what are the things that in your own life you can look at and go, you know what? Yeah, I got to work on this better, do better here. And I'm going to cultivate people around me that help that come to pass. Next is seek out new experiences as best as you can. No matter what's going on in an area of life, there's a boredom that takes place under the same thing over and over again. I don't care who you are, but when you are in this position of wanting to have something different, it's different from what most people do, there are going to be things that you want to do that you won't do because you care about what somebody thinks of you. So the solution is don't care and just do it. Just go and do it. See, when you do it, it does a couple of things. One, it allows you to actually feel like, man, I can do this. But 2, it retrains them on who you are. That's a big thing. People just don't want to see you out of the box they know you to be in. And if you stay in that box, you're tight to that box, well, then you never step out of the box. And now all that happens is more people that you used to know keep you in that tight box because they know you. And when you step out of the box, they go, hey, you don't do that. That's not what you've been doing before. Why would you show up and be in this, right? So they start making you feel uncomfortable stepping out of the box. So you're doing these things, these new experiences to step out of the box and really show the world, I don't care what you think of me. I'm just going to do this thing. And you stay in that pocket and you do the thing that you want to do of moving beyond the limits they put on you or beyond the box they've placed you in. And your life becomes more and more and more. And so you start to reduce the anchoring to the opinions of other people because it doesn't matter. It won't matter in the long run. They're going to have their own life they live, and they grow old and gray in some house having lived a life they lived, and nobody's going to care what you did when you were 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. They don't even see you anymore. So do whatever in the world it is you want to do because you want to do it. So do this thing that's a new experience you've never tried because you want to try it. I've been hang gliding. I've been doing a bunch of different stuff just because I want to try it. I travel different places. I've lived in different countries. I've eaten different things. I've tried different parts of the business, all this stuff purposely because I want to do different things. And people go, what are you doing? And I go, oh, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm doing whatever I want to do. So I stop caring about their thoughts. I care about them, but not their thoughts of what I'm going to do with my life. And life becomes smoother and more enjoyable. The last piece is you must challenge your social, I guess, comparisons. Because you're going to have comparisons of other people on you, right? People are going to go, well, I don't do this, or that kind of person doesn't do this. You have to challenge those social comparisons. You have to challenge them in a way that shows you're challenging them, which means if, you want to wear different clothes, wear different clothes. You want to think differently, say different thoughts. You want to speak up and say, I don't agree with that. Speak up and say, I don't agree with that, or whatever it might be. Or challenge when someone compares you to someone and goes, what are you doing? That's what that kind of person does. And you go, I'm great. I'm happy you see that. It's great you see that, but that's not who I am. I'm different. I do different things. I want different things. You challenge the comparisons that have you fit in someone's understanding of a box of who you're supposed to be. Because realistically, none of us are in any kind of box in any kind of way. We're all different. We do different weird stuff, but we try to act like we're the same. And it's okay to be different. I think we should spend more time being different. But if you spend time trying to be the same and act the same all day long, then you start finding that life isn't nuanced. It's not fun. You get bored. And so really my big focus always in life is like, how can I go out and be who I want to be, even if the rest of the world doesn't get it? And you start to not even care what the rest of the world says. The comparisons socially don't matter anymore. Those who are saying these things, I stopped listening to after a while. I listen to the people that support me, that care about me, that love me. And even if they don't 100% get what I do, I don't run my life based on what they view my life should be. I live my life in a way that makes sense for me. And that is really the fun part of it all. Then you get to live a life that's your life. It's not confined. That's not, defined by other people, but you define it for yourself. You start seeing what's out there. And you start leaning into different things and having different experiences that shape you completely different, to where you wake up one day and go, I'm nothing like the person I used to be. And I don't even care what anybody else thinks. Because in that space, in those moments, in that time frame, life opens up differently. More gets to be seen and experienced than ever was before. And now you start living this life that I believe is worth telling a story about. And that's the one your grandkids are going to want to sit down and listen to you share when you're in that rocking chair or sitting on the couch one day. And they go, I want to go to grandma and grandpa's house or wherever it is, because, man, they got some really cool stories because they lived this crazy cool life. That's the fun thing. But it only happens when you go out of your comfort zone, do whatever it is that you choose to do, and stop caring what other people think of you. Go do this. Also, watch this video up here. It could be a game changer for you. Outside of that, as always, do the dark work so you can make shift happen.